sometimes Google is not super accurate. I went to go do a meditation on the porch and asked Google, will it rain today? And Google said no. And then an hour later, it's looking very menacing and Google changed its mind. It's already sprinkled a little bit and I can see and hear the rain now. Huh. And I should probably go inside. Very rainy. Which I don't mind, because I actually kind of prefer rain. Maybe not all the time, but most of the time I can enjoy the rain and stuff. So, I don't know where I'm going to go sit right now, or what I want to talk about. I think no matter where I sit in the house, I'm probably going to hear the rain anyway. So, I have to deal with that. Ooh. So very rainy. Which, for me, that makes my whole day that much better. Not that I didn't mind the sun and the warm weather, but now, I don't know, I've just always loved the rain. Yeah. I don't know why. Just do. So, I'm not exactly sure what to talk about today. Not really any necessarily big things that kind of came through from meditation in general, or I was a bit distracted here and there, just kind of checking in with possible plans at the studio. Things might change, so I don't know if I'm going to go to the studio today, and if not, I'm going to try and catch up on some West Coast Club related things and maybe getting things ready for Saturday so that I don't have to do that last minute or on the day of. So that's kind of, in a way, where my head is kind of hoping things go. If I get ready in time, then I could probably do that before I go to the studio anyway. But we'll see what happens. I'll have to check in with people and kind of see what is actually happening. Yesterday I went to go see a couple friends and talked for most of the night, a lot longer than I thought I probably would have, which was good for me. I noticed, at least in that kind of state, that my conversation ability was a lot more fluid, and it was a lot more organic for me to express what was on my mind, and things kind of came to mind a lot easier than I think most social situations do for me, which is kind of an interesting observation. So yeah, I'm happy for that, and kind of got some kind of new things to kind of think about through that. And then moving forward, there's a few things in the short term that are that can potentially kind of change the trajectory of kind of what I'm working on in the short term. But I don't know exactly which option is going to come out, like A or B. For example, the apartment thing that I'm possibly figuring out. I don't know if I'm going to go through with that option, or if if that option doesn't work out, I'm going to have to look into other alternatives. And both options, basically, I'm kind of learning that both options, or regardless of how many options there are, those are always good options. Of course, the one that happens is the one that really matters. But I'm learning to find more. I'm starting to observe or be aware of the elements of growth in each particular possible outcome that I can envision within my head in most situations. So which is calming in a way, because I know for a long time I've been the type that likes to know certainty which option is going to come out and which option I'm going to work on, or anything like that, and then kind of stressing about what happens if option B or C is the one that comes through, and like feeling lost for option A. And I don't want to feel attached to a specific outcome of anything in my life at this point. And it's freeing and liberating in a way to be able to start seeing the different options, and also knowing that there are options that I can't see that could come up, and being okay with whatever option happens, because I can see that I can be okay with either option or any option that comes up, and knowing that there are going to be a thing of growth that is going to happen as a result of any of those options. And that, for me, is encouraging in a way to kind of step forward and move forward with kind of different things, just start putting things into motion, or exploring different avenues of life that I want to explore. I don't know what else. That was probably the big one. My friend gave me this example that he heard from someone else, about like, you think of the choices you're presented with in a moment, like you could think of them like your hand. Like, the way he used it was, like, you have your lowest excitement thing, lowest but not like the worst excitement, kind of neutral. This would be awesome, this would be like super amazing. And whichever choice you pick in that moment, whichever one is most exciting or least exciting, like, every choice you make is going to be another strand of choices. So if I choose something that's like super exciting here, then that's going to branch off into the new lowest and the new highest. And that was a good visual imagery for me. He explained it a lot better than I did, but it was helpful to see possible outcomes in that way. Like, thinking, if I focus my attention and act on whatever is kind of like the lowest excitement or feels like an obligation, that's going to create more choices around low excitement, low growth, obligation, sort of stress and anxiety and stuff like that. But if I start pursuing the options that are most exciting, that call to me the most, that I realize are going to be the biggest opportunities of growth, then those are going to start pushing me down a path that is going to have more opportunities and more choices that are at that caliber of growth and excitement and stuff like that. So that is helpful for me to think about what I'm doing in this moment, realizing, like, it's something that I've known, that, like, kind of like what choice you make or don't make is going to dictate what happens next. But it's good to kind of see that, like, visual imagery of every choice is like you're choosing between a branch of choices, but each branch has its own branches, and those branches are kind of predicated on the first choice or the next step. And so for me, it's kind of identifying and being more aware of, not only being aware of that those choices are there, like the highest excitement options that are in my life, not only becoming aware that those exist, but also in recognizing that if I don't select that, if I don't consciously move forward towards that, then I'm basically saying that I'm okay with, or comfortable with, or consciously choosing, or unconsciously choosing rather, to do the less exciting or less growth oriented, or the more neutral aspect choice. And if I don't consciously choose the highest excitement one, then it's kind of leveling me out by default to choose the neutral or lesser. Not always, but it's motivating in a way to think of it like that. Like, I have to consciously choose. I'm going to go for the more exciting options, the choices that are going to cause me to grow. So that sort of reveals a lot of options for me, and also creates internal motivation to actually pursue those, because remembering that if I don't choose that, I'm going to get the other stuff I don't really care about, or aren't going to help me quite as much. So yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. I'm still working on the one thing for the espresso pity party thing that I talked about earlier. I think I haven't I was originally going to work on that yesterday, but just schedule-wise that didn't quite work out, and then got to hang out with a couple of friends for a little bit longer than I thought, which I actually appreciated and valued quite a lot, and I don't regret it at all, and I don't regret that that kind of took priority over working on the thing that I wanted to work on for that day. Which I should probably also check my agenda, make sure I'm not forgetting stuff for today, too. Yeah, definitely did not work on most of the stuff. So today is going to vary based on plans from a couple different people, particularly the studio, how that's going to affect my midday, and then other plans with other people, whether that's going to impact today or tomorrow. I'm not sure yet, but I need to have options for myself to. So one thing I do is sometimes if I have plans with someone and they're not like super clear, I will kind of not do anything for the rest of the day, just kind of wait for it to come, like wait for the thing we scheduled to come to the moment. I don't know, I can't think of words today. So basically I have like a stretch of like 5 hours or something, for example, and then I don't actually fill that 5 hours with anything productive, just because I'm just like thinking about the stuff that's going to happen later in the evening, and actually utilizing my time in an effective manner. So regardless of what I do, I need to make sure that I'm filling my time, my space between things with things that are important for me or meaningful or productive. That's kind of regardless of specific plans that are happening today or tomorrow. That is just an overall thing that I need to work on in general, like every day and every opportunity where where I might be hanging out with someone or have an appointment or anything like that. Not sitting there doing nothing, watching YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and not doing anything productive. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do today. So I'm just going to end it there and kind of actually go do all that stuff.